Welcome to episode 2 of the LorainCounty.com Business Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimin, and today we're talking with Tony Gallo, president of the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. Join us as Tony Gallo details the Chamber's key role in supporting local businesses and impacting economic development in Lorain County. We'll hear about the Chamber's events, member-focused initiatives, and Tony's leadership in fostering a vibrant business community. I've had the privilege of knowing Tony for over 20 years. We've worked together on a number of initiatives, and I've served on the Chamber Board of Trustees and Executive Committee for the entire time he's been president. I'm proud to say I was part of the subcommittee that selected Tony to become the Chamber's president, and after 10 successful years, it's clear this was a great decision. Here's my conversation with Tony Gallo.
Tony Gallo, I'm president and CEO of the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. Tell me about the Chamber.
The Lorain County Chamber was founded in 1988. If for anybody who's listening knows that the city of Lorain and the city of Elyria have always been somewhat competitive in nature. And in 1987, I think it actually started, but by 1988, unemployment was running rampant in Lorain and Elyria. And at the time, they said, let's combine the two chambers to act as an economic development force for all of Lorain County, and they brought the two chambers together. It took quite a while to actually combine those two separate boards and to actually act and work as one chamber with one focus, but eventually they did get to it.
The Chamber is mostly a membership organization?
Yeah, so we rely on our membership dues and then non-dues revenue to actually make our budget and do the program of work.
What are the benefits of being a member?
So like financial benefits, most of the people who join the chamber are smaller businesses. Most of the reasons that they join the chamber is to get the word out there about their business, to get more business here locally, and to help grow and expand their reach for whatever it is that they do, whether it's a realtor, whether it's a insurance guy, mom and pop, a realtor, or a mom and pop retail, any of those kind of things, just to say, hey, I'm here, we're in business, come spend some money with me.
Sure. So in addition to members, what are the benefits to non-members, to the community?
So I think the chambers, I always like to say that our chamber is a little bit more focused on economic development. We don't focus on, some of the smaller chambers do focus on an event like a fair or some sort of a festival event. For the most part, we focus on networking. We focus on what we can provide to chamber members for saving them money. So in other words, if they're providing health insurance and they're getting it through the chamber, there's a discount, and that money that they're saving there can be used to either help invest in their business, invest in their building, capital improvements, giving their employees raises. All of that money then stays local, and then the community benefits from that. These small businesses, like when you and I were growing up, the small businesses were the ones that they sponsored the baseball teams. They sponsored bowling leagues. They sponsored all of that stuff. And it just is better for the community because there's that whole synergy of giving back and people still spending time and spending money in the businesses that are part of the community. So ultimately, if we're helping to attract businesses here, if we're helping to keep businesses here, that's all good for the community. It's good for the county, and it's good for our kind of little ecosystem here in Lorain County.
So the Chamber's known for lots of events. What are some of the major events you hold in a year?
So it's been interesting. So I've been at the Chamber for 20 years this past July, and the past 10 of them have been as president. So when I became president, I started a couple of new things. Our biggest one is the expo. So we had never done a business-to-business expo until I became president. And it was one of the first things that we instilled in year one. So I was made president in January, and then by November, we had this expo. I'm friends, and I belong to a larger chamber group called the Northern Ohio Area Chambers of Commerce, and most of those chambers had done some sort of an expo. So I knew how it could be done. I've gone to all of theirs. I knew how they set it up. There's been a couple of years where we worked with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, to have them have some tables for small businesses, new businesses, ones that are right out of the gate, to give them some exposure. And it's helped them. And I know our feedback from them after year one or after that year was basically, this was fantastic. It was a great way for us to get our name out there and to let people know that we're in business. And non-chamber members can participate in that expo as well.
Very good. So what's something about the chamber that most people don't know?
For the last 8 years or so, the chamber refocused its efforts on economic development with the sunsetting of Team Lorain County, which actually was our economic development organization. We took some of that over, and the past 3 years, the chamber's biggest lift, at least while I've been here, has been the reestablishment of the 501c3 public-private partnership for an economic development organization, One Lorain County. So a lot of those duties that I have taken on are going to go to One Lorain County, and we hired a great person, Lisa Hudson, who ran the Small Business Development Center for many years, and we're looking forward to working hand in hand with them.
So I know you said you've been here 20 years. Tell me what led you to this position, and what are you proud of accomplishing or still plan to accomplish?
I graduated from Bowling Green, and I feel like I've said this story so many times. There's probably people who are going to be listening to this say, oh, I heard him say this at Leadership Lorain County. I heard him say this whenever. But when I graduated from Bowling Green, I was a marketing advertising major. Cleveland was the third largest print market in the United States. Chicago being number one, which they still are, New York being number two, and then Cleveland. So I had these visions. I was going to get a job with one of the PR firms in downtown Cleveland and be Mad Men before Mad Men was even on TV, because that's how old I am. But it didn't work that way because, unbeknownst to me, either I really wasn't paying attention or my counselors at college didn't tell me this, that you're supposed to go work for free as an intern at these ad agencies during your summer months. I was making money so I could go to college, so I couldn't have done that. So I'd seen a posting for a printing salesman in Elyria, Wilmot Printing Company. It was founded in the 1920s and family owned, and I thought, okay, I'll go work there for a year. I'll call on some ad agencies in Cleveland, and I'll impress them with my skills, and I'll get a job there. And then I found out right away that ad agencies and printing companies don't really like each other. It's this, we have to deal with one another, but they blame each other for everything that goes wrong in print. And I was in print for 16 and a half years, and something always goes wrong in print. A phone number gets printed incorrectly. Even after proofing all the copies and everything else, the colors don't come out right. It gets folded crooked. It gets mailed to the wrong ad. Whatever it is that can go wrong goes wrong. And 16 and a half years, a lot changed. With the advent of a little thing called the Macintosh computer, it changed the way people did things. And all the stuff that people used to use on a daily basis, I always say that Elyria, every scrap of paper for any company in Elyria was printed by Wilmot. If you checked into Elyria Memorial Hospital, all the chart, all those little things that they used to track your health, those were all printed by Wilmot. Everything from the Elyria Telephone Company was printed by Wilmot. Every scrap of paper that was printed from Elyria Savings and Trust was printed by Wilmot. So there were these giant businesses that the only way they did things was they printed things. And that kept printing companies in business, and that's what we focused on. So all of a sudden, everything's being done on computers. So the writing was on the wall that print was changing drastically, and businesses that used to be local were no longer local anymore. They were bought up by larger entities who were using their own printing companies and just swapping out an address for where the logo was or something along the lines of that. So believe it or not, one of my customers was the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce, and they had called me up and canceled a set of business cards by somebody who had the title Director of Business Development. I called up Chris Kish over at the chamber, and I said, hey, what happened to this guy? Oh, he took a job in banking. And I'm like, oh, are they gonna fill his position? She goes, yeah. I go, what did he do? I didn't even know what a director of business development did, even though that's what I did every day at the printing company. I just didn't have that title. And she just said, goes out, meets with the business owners, and hopefully gets them to join the chamber, has a good relationship, knows the community. She goes, you'd be really good at this. You should apply. I'm like, can you get me an interview? And she goes, sure. And the next week I met with Frank DiTilio at lunch at Jackalope, and he said, we're going to hire you. And I'm like, that's all it was. And he said, but Tim Grogan, who owned Wilmot Printing Company, was on the board of the chamber. He said, you got to stay there for as long as he needs you, and for you to hire your replacement and get that person up to speed and everything else. Normally, when you leave a job, it's 2 weeks. I was there 6 weeks, and it was a good transition. If there was one thing about when you left a printing job and you were in sales, the fear was you were going to take your customers with you if you went to another printing company. That wasn't going to happen. And I was able to, I said, if anybody could still put his feet in the Elyria world and in the Lorain world, I could do it, because my mom was from Elyria and my dad was from Lorain, and I had family and friends in both communities, and it was a pretty easy fit. And 20 years later, I did not expect myself to, one, be president, let alone be here for 20 plus years. It was a good fit. I like what I do.
And so 10 years ago, you became director. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what are you proud of accomplishing over that time?
The biggest thing is the one that I just previously mentioned, the 501c3. It's a huge lift, but this is what's best for Lorain County. And I think at the end of the day, we will be stronger because there'll be more businesses and better businesses and stronger businesses. And now with Team Neo and Jobs Ohio and the way economic development is being handled in Ohio, it's a game changer. We have the water, we have the land, we have the workforce, we have Lorain County Community College, we have the players that can make us be that epicenter. And I think that's a really good place to be. My swan song will be, I helped bring the 501c3 back to Lorain County. And it was a heavy lift, and it was a huge thing to be doing in the middle of COVID and everything else. From a chamber standpoint, what I'm most proud of was during COVID, we did put together funding. And from day one, I had never done a grant program the entire time I was here. I didn't think we could do that, but I was approached by Nord Family Foundation, and they said, hey, we think you're the perfect vehicle to give out grants. We can't do that individually, but you can do it, and you can do it really fast. They gave us $50,000, and we pretty much parlayed that $50,000 into close to $750,000 by the end of COVID. And we had checks in small businesses' hands within 3 weeks of COVID being hit. So I'd like to think that we kept some of those doors open for businesses. The government was going to be giving out funding, and there was a whole lot of programs, but they were just delayed by weeks and weeks, if not months. And we were actually able to give them some funding right away to help keep those doors open.
Where can people get more information about the chamber?
If you go to Facebook, that's where you're going to find out mostly what's going on. You can go to LorainCountyChamber.com. There's a Lorain County Chamber LinkedIn page. So, yeah, we're pretty easy. I said I always tell people I'm the easiest person to get a hold of because my business card has my cell phone number on it. And whether that's good or bad, you talk to my wife as to whether she thinks it's good or bad. People text me. They call me on a Saturday or a Sunday or when I'm on vacation. If it's important, I will turn around and get that answer as soon as I can.
Well, thank you, Tony. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the LorainCounty.com Business Insights Podcast. We hope you found this conversation informative and that it provided some ideas that will help your business continue to grow. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform to hear each episode where we shine a spotlight on local resources that will boost your business. And we want to hear from you. Email ed@loraincounty.com to share your feedback and topic ideas.